Tournament golf is nothing like a normal casual round. Since 2017, I've played in more than 300 competitive days, including Q School. And today, I want to take you through 7 of the most common golf tournament mistakes that most golfers make. Keep watching through the end, whether you're a seasoned competitor or just getting started in tournaments, so that way you can learn from my failures and hopefully speed up success. The first tournament golf mistake that I see so many players make, and one that I've definitely made in the beginning as well, is just not getting there early enough and rushing to the golf course. Here's the thing, tournaments already are going to cause your nerves and anxiety up. You don't want to make them even higher though by getting there late or showing up just a few minutes before your tee time. So make sure you think this out the night before and get really clear about what the commute time looks like, how much time you need to warm up, and really map it all out so that way, again, you're setting yourself up for success. It doesn't matter if you have a good or a bad warm-up either. It's just about getting there, going through your process, getting mentally and physically ready. Because if you're starting off and you're rushed and you're flustered and you're feeling like it's just everything's a little bit off, it can throw off your timing and your mindset and just make for a really long day on the links. So please plan ahead, that way you can get off to a good start and set yourself up for a great day. The second tournament golf mistake I see with a lot of players is just not scheduling a practice round. So if you're walking onto a brand new golf course and you're playing it for the first time in a tournament, it's going to be really hard to play your best because, as I mentioned in the first point, tournaments already raise the stakes, right? We already feel a little bit more pressure. Pins might be a little bit more difficult. You're having to play with strangers. Everything's a little bit different in tournaments. But if you skip a practice round and you're playing this course for the first time, it's going to be hard to play your best. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure you can still put up a good number sometimes, but you're just giving a lot of chance to the situation because you might not understand, hey, the 5th hole is a blind shot, here's where you're supposed to aim, or hey, these greens are really fast, or here's the type of spin you get. So you want to play practice rounds and you want to play them strategically. So when I play 3 or 4 day events, I like to do them a couple days in advance. That way I don't burn myself out and play too much golf in a row. If I'm playing just a 1-day qualifier, then I actually like to play my practice round the day before. That way I can try and mimic the course conditions as similar to what it's going to be. I actually made this mistake one time when trying to qualify for the US Open. I played my practice round a week in advance, and by the time I got to the course that day, it was night and day because for those tournaments, they really make it challenging. They dry out the greens, they dry out the course, and so it was very different from the week before. So make sure to plan your practice round strategically for the number of days and the course you're going to be playing. If you can't play a practice round, you're just too busy, I understand, but still try to get out to that golf course and get familiar with everything. Get familiar with where the practice facilities are, where the pro shop is, where the restrooms are. Like, get comfortable with everything so that way tournament day is not the first day you've been there. Then spend some extra time on the putting green because at the end of the day, putting is everything in golf, especially in tournaments. You want to make sure that you're really dialed in with the speed of the greens. So spend a little bit more time there. If they have a short game area, test out the sand, test out some lies around the greens, see what kind of spin you're going to get, and just get comfortable there. So if you can't sneak in a practice round, again, get out there, spend some more time at the practice area, and hopefully you're going to have a lot more confidence heading into tournament day. Before getting into the next tip, make sure you download my free tournament golf checklist. Like I mentioned in the beginning, I've played more than 300 competitive days since 2017, and I want to help you speed up success. So I actually take you through in this 2-page guide exactly what you need to do so you're prepared and ready to go. The URL is going to be on the screen, and click the link down in the description. Third tournament golf mistake that so many players make is just not having a clear game plan. So yes, a practice round is key. It'll hopefully help you understand where you should hit driver, what flags you should avoid, the speed of the greens, and a lot more. But you also want to then create a game plan so that way you can minimize your thinking during the tournament. So for example, before my events, I get very clear about what I'm going to hit on every single hole. Now it might change a little bit depending on if they move the tee boxes or if there's weather or wind or where the pins are, but in general, I like to have a very good game plan so that way I just don't have to make as many decisions on the course. Because sometimes you're emotional. Maybe you just had a 3-putt or a double bogey and then you make some poor decisions, and that can lead to a lot of blow-up holes and wasted shots. So I like to have a good game plan. So what I do is I use Decade Golf, I use Google Earth, and I use PuttView yardage books. When I have all these resources, I get really clear about, hey, this is driver, I'm gonna tee up on the right side on this first hole. Hey, this is 3-wood, I'm gonna tee up on the left side. Like, I try and give myself as much clarity as I can, so I basically show up to the tournament and I just look at my yardage books and game plan, and I don't have to think as much. This way you can conserve some mental energy and you have a lot more confidence when you step on the tee box. The fourth tournament golf mistake to avoid is trying to play like someone else. I made this mistake so much during my early career. I'd get paired with really good players. I'd play in some pro qualifiers, so I'm with guys that are doing this for a living, and I would try to play like them. I would try and swing too hard, or I'd try and take the line they did, or I'd try and hit the club they were doing on par threes, and it just wasn't helping me out. So please, I beg you, when you're in tournaments, have that game plan that we talked about in the previous step and stick with it. Play your game. You might get paired with someone that hits it 50 or 70 yards past you. This has happened to me, and I hit it pretty long, so it's kind of weird when it happens like that. But you have to adapt. You can't get too involved with what they're doing and how they're swinging. You have to stay super focused and in your little performance bubble. Before getting to the next one, what's the biggest tournament golf tip you've ever received to play better under pressure? Hit the comments and let other golfers know. The next tournament golf mistake that I really regret making and I want you to avoid is making too many technical swing changes the week of the event. A lot of times we try to cram for tournaments. We try to get our swing just right, and we try and practice a little too much. That might mean watching a few YouTube videos or even trying to get a lesson. You're really trying to get the game dialed. Don't get me wrong, I like the commitment, I like where your head's at, but when we try and work on our swing too close to a big event, a lot of times you're gonna be thinking about playing golf swing and not just playing golf in tournaments. When I look at my best performances, when I won a tournament in 2023, a 2-day event up in Oregon, I didn't have a single swing thought. I was so focused on my process. I was so focused on just playing my game and making good decisions. I couldn't tell you one swing thought I had. Even if you watch the pros too, they're always saying after good rounds, I was focused on my target. I stuck to my routine. They're not talking about making a bunch of mechanical swing changes. Because if you're making a bunch of swing changes the week of, you're not gonna trust it. And when you're not trusting it, you're gonna linger over the golf ball too long. You're gonna have a lot of doubt, a lot of indecision. So please, avoid the training aids, avoid the new swing lessons, avoid all the noise out on social media, and the week of the event, instead, spend that time and that commitment on your short game, on your pre-shot routine, and on your mental game. Those are the things that are really gonna help you out. A lot of rest will also help too, so don't overdo it because so many golfers do heading into a tournament, and by the time you get there, you're physically and mentally drained. The next tournament golf mistake is just getting too impatient after slow starts. A lot of times we think that we have to get off to a hot start to play well, but I'm actually gonna tell you that's not the case. Sometimes it might happen. You get off to a hot start, make a couple birdies, have some pars, you're feeling good, obviously keep it going. But a lot of times that's just not gonna happen, and that's okay. You don't have to get off to a hot start to play great. In fact, in 2023, during my best tournament round, I had a super slow start. On the front nine, I had 1 bogey and 1 birdie, and the bogey actually came on a par 5. But I go into the back and I was like, you know what? I'm still hitting it good. I just haven't had a putt to drop yet. I'm just not hitting it quite close enough. Stick with it. I end up going and shooting a 31 on the front and playing my best tournament round of the year. So just remember, a slow start doesn't mean a bad start. Good tournament golfers understand that you have to stay patient and you have to let the breaks happen. You have to let golf happen. Stop trying to force it and stop trying to get off to a hot start. Be okay with making a bunch of boring pars and just plotting your way around, and sometimes the magic will strike later. Stick to your game plan, stay composed, and trust your process. The final mistake that I see almost all the time, like I know I've made this mistake and I see it still to this day, is abandoning your pre-shot routine. Every golfer I know wants to play more consistently and shoot lower scores. The number one way to do that is have a consistent pre-shot routine. But the routine only works if you stick with it. If you're playing bad and all of a sudden you abandon it on the back nine, it's not gonna work for you and you're not gonna have that commitment level that you need over every single shot. So please develop your pre-shot routine in practice. Use it during casual rounds and then use it in tournament rounds, but stick with it even if you're playing bad. Here's why. Because if you're playing poorly and you're not scoring to your potential, but you're sticking with your routine, you're mentally in the fight, you're just not hitting it well, then you know it's a mechanical breakdown. So for example, let's say you go through your routine on all holes, but it's just not your day. You're hitting a lot of slices. Then at least you know that you had the right mental approach and it was a mechanical issue. Then you can work with your swing coach, work with your favorite training aid, go back to your favorite drills, and address the mechanics of your golf swing. But if you throw away your routine mid-round, then you have to ask, was that mental or was it mechanical? It doesn't really know, and it gets very blurry. So that's why I encourage all my mental golf coaching students is to stick with the routine, especially when you're playing poorly. That's when you need it the most, because it will help calm your mind and give your mind a lot of clarity on what you want for the shot. So please stick with that routine from the first hole all the way to the 18th, and I have no doubt you're gonna play better. I'm confident when you avoid these 7 golf tournament mistakes, you're gonna have more fun, you're gonna play more consistently, and you're gonna play closer to your potential. Remember, tournament golf is nothing like a normal round, so make sure you download that free tournament golf checklist so you can learn from my mistakes and hopefully speed up success. Finally, just congrats to you. If you're actually signing up for tournaments and you're putting yourself out there and getting into competition, congrats. Most people don't have the courage to do it, and they don't trust their game under pressure. So congrats to you. Stay patient, trust the process, and have fun. If you want to learn even more about tournament golf, make sure to watch these 2 videos next.